Hi, welcome to the Wounded Angel Network. I'm Peter Woods, and today you will notice I am dressed a little differently, and I am proudly wearing the South African Rugby Springbok jersey. If you don't follow rugby, you may not know that yesterday South Africa won its third World Cup trophy in the history of our very proud rugby nation. And so I'm very proud to have watched the game on television as it played in Japan, and we beat England, and comprehensively, I must say. And to have been in a pub watching with all the excitement and the party that followed, it was a wonderful, wonderful moment. So this morning I thought I'd talk a little bit about winning and competitiveness. And there is a rather notorious quote that was coined by a UCLA Bruins football coach in the States in 1950, a guy called Red Sanders, who said to his team on two different occasions that have been recorded, "Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing." This quote has found its way into sports coaching and probably gets repeated in many locker rooms before a game. Most famously, it's been wrongly attributed to having been created by a guy called Vince Lombardi, who started using it in 1959 and went on to become a very famous football coach, using this rather dark, from my point of view, statement: winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. I remember years ago talking to a young man who was in primary school, probably grade 3 or 4, and I congratulated him on coming second in his class for the year academically, and he turned to me and said, "Thank you, but you do know that second is the first loser." Well, there we go. Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And of course in sports that might be true, because sports are competitive. The fact that South Africa are the current, since yesterday, world rugby champions is because we competed first in a group log table, and then in a quarterfinal, and then in a semi-final, while England were working their way up, and ended in the final where we competed with the other team that had made it to the top, and in competing with them beat them, and so therefore can call ourselves the winners and hold up the Webb Ellis Trophy as Siya Kolisi, our first black Springbok captain, so proudly did. And of course he's a Port Elizabeth boy, so we're even more proud of him here in the city. So winning has a place. Winning has a place in sport. But it begs the question, should the whole of our life be competitive? And I don't know if you, like me, know some people whose default position is always just to be competitive. They almost don't have any other setting, any other way of being than other being competitive. They compete at everything. And they're not really pleasant to be with. They're fun, but eventually you realize that they always have to have the last word. They always have to win every argument, and they set out in encounters with you or with other humans, other people, to always be the winner of the discussion, of the debate. They need to be the smartest person in the room. I'm not sure that that's really helpful. And let me say that when it comes to the field of religion and spirituality, which is my field, to be competitive is an unmitigated disaster. The competitiveness in religion has caused the death of literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. The competing of one ideology over another, one religion over another. We are right, you are wrong, therefore you must either become like us or we will punish you, is dreadful. It's the story of colonization. And I can think of no darker, witty but dark illustration of this than another South African Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu, who has this lovely analogy, biting analogy, where he says, when the missionaries arrived in Africa, we had the land and they had the Bible. And they said to us, the African people, the missionaries said to us, let us pray. When we closed our eyes, we had the land, they had the Bible. When we opened our eyes at the Amen, at the end of the prayer, we had the Bible and they had the land. The story of colonization, the story of competitiveness. The thing that worries me about always wanting to win in areas other than sport, and where winning is perhaps appropriate, but in areas of religion, in areas of human encounter, to always want to be winning every discussion, every debate, shows ultimately a lack of tolerance. Extreme prejudice and lack of tolerance in any kind of discussion, and it literally shuts down any kind of debate. I'm right, you're wrong, take it or leave it, you're not going to change my mind. You either become like me or you're gone. And if I don't kill you, I will shun you, and if I don't shun you, I'll just ignore you. All of which are not helpful. And you may say to me, but you know, Peter, at the end of the day, this is the evolutionary process. It is the survival of the fittest. And yes, that is partly true, but it's not the whole story. Just like Red Sanders, who says winning isn't everything, it's the only thing, to say that evolution is only the survival of the fittest is not true. Because if you look carefully at nature, yes, there is competition. There's competition for scarce resources. There is the protection of what you have so that you can continue your life as a species, whatever that might be. But there's also collaboration. It's not all competition. So species collaborate, plants collaborate. One plant will have a parasitic relationship with another plant in a symbiotic way. And so evolution isn't just about competition. Evolution is often about collaboration as well. If the parasitic plant in a symbiotic relationship with a host kills the host, the plant doesn't survive. And so a balance begins to enter into the equation. It's not winning. Winning isn't the only thing, Mr. Sanders, you're wrong. Winning is a thing, but there's also collaboration alongside competition. And the skillful person is able to know the difference between what is necessarily a competitive encounter, like the Springboks playing and beating the English yesterday on the sports field. But there are times when we don't have to be competitive, and it is better, more healthy, more skillful, more relationship building to be collaborative rather than competitive. You don't always have to win. You don't always have to be right. Sometimes you can choose not to be right for the sake of the relationship. Do you want to be right all the time and lose all your relationships? Or do you want to maintain your relationships by not always insisting that you're right? So I want to close this conversation by offering you two human encounters, activities. And And in my mind, they have become useful little metaphors for me to assess whether the environment I'm in, whether the situation I'm in, whether the relationship I'm in requires that I be competitive or that I be collaborative. And those two activities are very simple. There's the game of chess, a wonderful ancient game with a wonderful story of how it originated. Apparently there was this Persian king who wanted a game that wasn't just a simple mindless game but involved great strategy, and various people came with various games, and he promised his whole kingdom to whoever could come up with this game, and legend has it this person arrived and had the chess game, and he played this chess game and taught the king how to play, and the king was enthralled because chess is a clever game. It's a deep game. It's a game of strategy and planning and thinking, and when the king had learned the game and mastered it, he realized that this was really such a powerful game. He had the person who had invented it beheaded, so that he could own this very powerful game. So chess is a wonderful game. But it's a combative game, it's a competitive game, and when you play chess, you sit on opposite sides of a table with a person, and you play to win. You play to out-strategize them, you play to get them into check and into checkmate, and so that you can topple their king and win the game. So that's the one metaphor, and so in a situation, in an encounter with another person or a group of people, I ask myself, is this a chess game? The other metaphor I want to give you to balance the other human activity, to become the other discernment point, is the act of building a jigsaw puzzle. The jigsaw puzzle is a beautiful picture, and it's been printed onto some board or onto some wood, and the pieces have been cut out in random shapes and jumbled up, and now you have the picture usually on the box, the cover of the box, and you now, out of this jumble of pieces, have to recreate the picture by putting the jigsaw pieces together. Another human activity like chess, except the difference now is when you build a jigsaw puzzle, you do not sit on opposite sides of the table on which the jigsaw puzzle is, as you sit on opposite sides of the table when you play chess, where the chessboard is. To build a jigsaw, two of you or three of you, however many people are building the jigsaw puzzle, need to all come and sit on the same side, so that they can look at the same picture from the same orientation and build it out of the jumble of pieces. So we have chess, combative, competitive, trying to win, and then we have jigsaw puzzle building, collaboration instead of competition, together building a beautiful picture. And I have found, just using those two pictures as an assessment for an encounter, a human situation, that very often when I think, or when the other person wants to play chess, and I can skillfully, hopefully, transition that from chess playing to jigsaw puzzle building, the whole energy of the encounter shifts. I was consulting with a company some years ago, and there was going to be a face-off between these two business, they weren't partners, competitors you could call them, although they were trying to do the same thing together, but they were at loggerheads. And when I was coaching the one person who was going into this meeting through all the contractual and legal and detailed stuff that was going to happen on the table, I made a suggestion that when they met, instead of going to sit opposite the person, they just chose a seat that sat next to the person, and they put the paperwork on the table, instead of looking at it from the other side, sit next to the person, put the paperwork there, which is the excuse to get next to them, and then you can look at it. And it shifted the whole negotiation and diffused what is a potentially very volatile situation from chess playing to jigsaw puzzle building. And there was a wonderful settlement and outcome, and the relationship continued very productively, and both parties won. So, very proud to be a South African, holding up the Webb Ellis World Rugby Cup trophy. I do, on this day after the final, know that winning isn't everything. Sometimes collaboration is called for. Thank you for your attention. Just a reminder that if you would like to follow these talks, you can subscribe at the bottom of the YouTube channel. There's also an email address that follows this video if you'd like to contact me for personal one-on-one counseling or coaching conversations, and we can do that from anywhere in the world. So thank you for your attention and your support and interest in the Wounded Angel Network, as we try to help each other as wounded angels to fly. Thank you.